Morning and welcome back to the channel. So you join me again today on this rubber flat roof repair because there's a tree that fell through it, which wasn't good. But if you want to see where and how I got to this stage, you will watch video part 1. If it's a second part, then welcome. So basically, I'm going to carry on today. Obviously you can see the rubber's up there now. It's going to be feeling really relaxed, chilled, ready for like gluing. So I'll take myself up here for 2 seconds. So there you go. Looking nice. You can see it's a lot better than it was yesterday, so these like creases would just literally pull out a bit of piece of cake. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get off all my little, you can just see here I just screwed the old like trims on just to keep the whole thing pinned down so it wasn't gonna like blow off in case there's any wind. And apart from that, I'll get it all off, get it all blown off, all swept off again, and then what I'm gonna do is I will roll it halfway to the center and halfway to the center, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do then. But actually, what I also noticed on the front ones, there's a few like scratches on the soffits at the front and the side. The back and this side are okay. Obviously, where the tree come down, I don't know, it must have just like scratched it a little bit just as it come this side of the building. So I've got new fascia just over there. So I'm just gonna rip off the old stuff, replace that with new, and then I'll push forward. But I'll show you me doing that as well because it's all quite interesting, isn't it? Might as well, right? But first, time for a cup of tea. Right, so there you go. Fascia is now removed off the front. And little tip, if you are going down this route and if you have to do like fascia changes because you're changing your rubber and stuff like that, when you get your legs, what you're gonna do while it's here and before it goes up there, make your life a bit easier, is 100mm from this edge, place a mark, same that end, measure roughly to center, so it's about 90 centimeters, 9 centimeters I've sort of marked down, so I've done 9 centimeters there. I then mark in the center, there's a center back there, and then I mark off every 300, put a mark till you get to near the end fixing. Same the other side, so every 300 you can have a nail. I then, like I say, measure 9 centimeters down, put a mark, so they're all now pre-marked, and then like you just saw, I just slide it over my solid bit of whatever I've got it on, in this case the horse, tack it in, I'm gonna run through, pre-tack all these, so literally all I've got to do is then hold it up one hand, get the hammer in the other hand and just bang, 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 done and dusted. Piece of cake, as opposed to trying to hold it up there, trying to measure it, oh, is the nail in the right sort of place, because you want to kind of keep them even, it just looks a bit neater. Things to take into account when you're doing that, as well as obviously you've got this roof trim which is going to come down so fast, so don't go putting these too high because otherwise it gets in the bloody way and nobody wants that. And that is basically it. So what I'll literally do is I'll go and finish piloting these ones in and then get that one up. Oh, I'll show you that in a second. So you can see it's now just temporarily tacked all the way across. So I've just sent these in a little bit. I never put these all the way through until I've then got the protective layer and ripped it off, because otherwise once these are all tacked in it becomes a real pain in the bum. So I'll go through, pull this off, and then I'll finish homing them in all the way in, and then that is it done, that is it fit, and then I'll do the next one. Beautiful. Another little tip, so that bit there that I need is about 95 centimeters. I've measured it to allow for about 5mm gap between the two joints because I put a joining piece between those. So 95, but so what I could have done was I could have just got the saw out, you can just see here, and chopped it there, which is where it would have been. But then that means that trying to get it across my horses, obviously I could bring that horse obviously closer and faff and fart around, but it's quite handy it being there. So sometimes just mark off where it needs to be, boom, do that. And then I can quite happily still put my marks on it where I need it. I'll pilot hole the nails going through, and then I'll just get my saw. I mean, the saw's in the van, I can't be bothered to go back to the van again, so I'll just use the multi-tool, do my cut, and I just take it and put it up there. It just saves like trying to take the full length, chop a little bit. Now you're working with a little bit, sometimes it's easier to do it this way. So you might find that a bit helpful. So the next return is ready to rock and roll. But saying so, like, obviously the front one, I could just put the straight edge cut all the way through, another straight edge cut, another straight edge cut to there. But when you come around this side, what you'll find is, if I was to put the straight edge cut here, obviously underneath, it's going to hit this edge, if you see what I mean. So it would come here, bang, and then stop, which is not particularly good. So what you could do is, again, while it's down here, The gap between there and the bottom is about 30. So just measure 30 across from there to there. And then what I'll do is take the fine tool. See if we can do this on camera. It might wobble around a little bit, but I just put pressure on it. But basically, you're just going to literally cut across there, all the way through. And then when I cut this side, I'm just going to make sure I keep it level with there. Cut that bit across there, take that Yui out. And then when I proffer that up and get it in position on that one, it will just slip over that one beautifully. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And now there you go, see? Lovely joint. And now you can just see underneath. That's what it now looks like. So that's why he knocks it out. And then what you do on the corners, these are trimmed. So this is the old one. I'll clean it up. Well, I've got two new ones actually, so but you kind of see what I mean. And obviously that'll cover perfectly all the way through. Looking nice at the bottom as well. I never fit these anyway until I've got the roof trim on, because I've got something to cut up to and just poke it up in between. Because again, if I fit that first, sometimes it can get in the way and cause me an arseache, and I can't be bothered with that. So yeah, that's it. So I'm going to home all these again, and then I can run up there and start gluing the roof on. Here's a little something you do come across occasionally. So this one here, for some reason, I think it's hitting a knot. So it's starting to bend and become a bit of a pain. So what we'll do is take an old off cut, put that up against it like so. Then I'll get my claw hammer underneath here and leverage against this surface. So that way I don't damage the front of this. Happens all the time. Sometimes you just hit them and it's a pain in the arse. You can pre-pilot it beforehand. So you kind of get it up, drill through, which kind of helps. But then the pilot hole, if it's big enough, is okay. Sometimes it isn't. I didn't bother on this one, so I'll just quickly whip this off. And then what I'll do, where the hole is, I'll get another poly pin, take the plastic pin off and glue that over the hole so it looks exactly the same as the rest. Job is a good one. Well, hopefully it will be. Give me a minute, I'll see how this comes out. I'm up on the roof again, because I like it up here. So what I'm doing is, I'm removing this, which is the gutter runoff. So basically, where this was set at the original height, at the original OSB, I now had to bring this and bring it up, so it's now going to be level with the new OSB. So what you get is you can take a little runoff. So as this roof comes over, it then goes straight over here. There's a new plastic trim which will go on here, which gives it a nice angle, which then you secure it to, which then means water just nicely goes straight over, straight into the gutter, easy peasy. But like I say, this one's now in the wrong position, so all I've got to do is get it, leverage it off, repin it at the higher bit, and then get a new plastic trim on that, and then we're ready for some gluing. So I'm going to finish that and I'll crack on. Side note, it's actually bloody freezing today. It was sunny as anything last week, and I keep talking about snow on Thursday. What the hell is going on? I don't be wearing big jackets in April. Oh, gluey time. So, you can see I've rolled it just over halfway back on the roof. You can go halfway, go a bit further if you've done it a few times, you're quite confident. So, that is it. So, for this job, you will need rubber roof that's been relaxed and allowed to settle. You'll need a big broom to like push as you kind of go along to make sure that the rubber roof is adhered to the OSB. You'll need the glue, and like I say, if you use perma roof and just tell them the size, they will give you the rubber with the overlap, all the trims which are down there, all the glues and everything else. All you need to do is buy yourself a cheap ass tray, a crappy roller, and away you go with a mixer. So rolling it back, a little top trick I learned from someone on YouTube, which I flipping loved. I've adapted it slightly. They had an old bit of, I think it was a bit of 40mm pipe or something to roll the whole like EDPM up in, which makes life a flip load easier. But I didn't have any pipe. But what I do have is the exact size of trim that will be the stuff that holds it on the edge. So I've just got a piece of that in there, which overlaps the end, wraps it over, and it rolls up in this tight, lovely little ball, which will make it easier just to roll this back as I go. So when you're gluing this stuff, sorry, I do need to get my tripod. It's in the garage. I do apologise. After moving house and like being on holiday for 3 weeks and stuff, my van got turfed out and a few bits and pieces missing. So I'd like to actually show you me doing this with a tripod. But you know, hey ho, we push on, we persevere. You get your lovely roller. You can enjoy looking at my thumb as well. Load her up. Don't be afraid of it. And you want to roll about, I don't know, a metre, half a metre, whatever basically you feel you can jump over. Because ultimately, that's what you're gonna have to be doing. I'll get my thumb out of the way, there you go. See, always thinking of you. So get it on, literally put it on quite liberally. And what you're gonna do is, which I haven't because I just started, I was too busy focused on that, is you'll keep this away about 100mm from the edge, all right? So that was a bit of a cock doing that bit, but it's not the end of the world. So basically I'm gonna roll it to that edge of board there. Just done it again, don't worry about it. So get it on, put it on, like I say, you don't want it like, it's not thick you're doing this, but you don't want it not thick enough, you know what I mean? There's a happy medium to be had. So what I'm going to do is do that for the whole length. And once the roller's got some on it, you know, it's kind of good then. When it's firstly dry, it takes a little while for it to like get a bit sucked into it. Lovely, lovely. Also be aware of the fact you are on the roof, and if I keep going back, because I will eventually fall off of it, and I don't want to do that. Although, I suspect that would make an even better impact on the YouTube viewing figures, so I'll just do that like that. Finish this last bit at this angle. And I will now remember to keep it away about 100mm from the edge. And the reason we're doing that is because you have a contact adhesive which you use for the whole perimeter around, which I'll show you that in a minute. Some people don't bother putting that in. End of the day, the manufacturer gives it to you. So if that's what they want me to do, I'm going to do it. So now we've got that bit glued. Sorry, press the wrong button. So now I've got that bit on. I'll simply jump over here, get it, give it a little kick, and try and roll it out evenly as you kind of go, so no big like creases. And that's another good thing about having this thing in it. Roll it X far, bring it back from there because I want to make sure I get onto the glue what I've just done. So I can easily get the roller to marry that joint. And then literally grab your broom and just 2 hands, I'll put the camera down a minute, and just force it out. Basically just trying to remove the air bubbles and make sure you've got good contact between the rubber and obviously the roof. So I'm going to put the phone down, I'm going to do that, I'm going to rinse and repeat till I get to the end. Once I've done that, I'll then roll that side back to where I find my glue mark, glue it up, push it out, and then I'll show you me doing the contact adhesive on the edge. Now don't worry if you've got little creases and stuff in it, it doesn't matter, right? Don't be panicked, don't think, oh my God, it's got creases and stuff, it's not gonna, it doesn't care. It's rubber, okay? It's gonna be absolutely fine. You get out what you can, but you don't wanna push it too hard. You don't wanna stretch the stuff, you just want it to kind of be, make sure it's in contact. But if there are creases and stuff, it is no big deal, okay? So that's fine. So right, I'm gonna get off and get that done. There we go, all glued down, all pushed flush, you can see. Looking nice and level, no major bumps or dings or anything else like that. So I'm pretty chuffed. Now, contact adhesive, which is the final bit I talk about around the edges. So you can see there where on this side, I left basically 100mm, okay? So I've now rolled this back, obviously just to here. I've done it opposite sides. So I've done this side and that side, front and back, longest lengths. And this is the stuff that you'll get, or something very similar, depending what company you use. Really easy to use. You don't know if you can just see the nib, but basically it's not just like a spray, it's got a slit which runs across, which means when it sprays, it'll spray out wide, okay? And that is so, when you do it, see that? It kind of covers that area. So what I'm gonna do is, literally walk across the whole thing. Good. Not overshooting it, but you know, not undershooting it either. But what you want to do is you want to spray onto both surfaces. Make sure you get that back bit as well, okay? Not the easiest thing when you're trying to film it, but basically you want to kind of get down that back edge there. If I can kind of do it. Right, down that do. Happy days. Right. And then spray roughly about 100mm this way, just so that when this bit flops back over, you know you've got enough glue on this bit that's going to meet that glue, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to leave that set for about 5 or so minutes. Basically, what you're going to do is you want it to get tacky. And obviously, the warmer it is, the quicker it gets tacky, the colder it is. It's quite chilly today, like I said earlier. So it'll take a little bit longer. So I'm gonna walk that length down the back edge. And the way you'll know when it's ready is you'll do the finger test. So what you want to do is, when you kind of think, oh, is it ready? Just put your finger on it, and you'll kind of have a little feeling. It'll kind of give you a little bit of bite back, but it won't be fully wet. So I just feel like a nice tacky surface. So there's that one. I'll run and do that side as well. Give it 5 minutes, and then once you're satisfied that you put your finger on it, it's just got like just a bit of ticker, so the sound really helps. Then what you do is flop it back over, boom, and then use one of these little tiny rollers, and then all you do is, if this edge was glued, is literally just use that to force it down all the way along, then you're done. So I'm gonna go ahead, do that all the way around. So I'll do the front and back. Once I've done that, I'll then glue the 2 sides, and then I'll show you how to trim the overlap there, ready for the trims to go on. It's exciting stuff, isn't it? I'm back. It's been about 2 minutes, 3 minutes or that. So you can just see as I tested it. See that? It's enough to pull up, but there's nothing on my finger. So that is how tacky you want it to be. And now, literally flip-flopping it over like that. Kind of automatically does it. It's the kind of roofing systems I install, except for that bit. Very disobedient. And now, literally, I just start one end, push it in to make contact. Job's a good one. I've just stopped for lunch. It was very nice. Thank you very much. Actually went into town with the missus and had a nice New Yorker sort of sandwich. I know you're probably not interested in that, but it's my half of the way through the day, so I quite liked it. But anyway, so now it's time for trim time. So you can see I've got everything you could possibly want. So all my trims are up here. As you can see, you're going to want a hammer. You're going to want your sort of polytop nails, which they'll provide, a singular joint one, and a decent pair of scissors. Now, normally, this is the first time I've ever had this stuff, but normally you get like, it's like a double-edged tape of about 10mm foam that you usually stick under here, so that when that then sits on the edge, it creates a watertight barrier between the surface and that. But they've gone all posh on me now. So now it's basically a liquid version of it. So Permaroof Bond and Seal. So basically, I'll basically turn this upside down like that, put a big gunk of it across this side, push it onto that edge, and then nail it in. What I am going to do as well, because like you saw with the nail that side where I hit a little knot, drill bit, little drill piece in there, ready to rock and roll. Measured so it's smaller than the actual polytop nail, just a little bit. And I'm also not going quite as deep, I'm pulling it back so it's set. So there you go, can you see that? I'll do it up right, there you go. So that's how far in it, the drill bit will go compared to the nail. Because once it's that far in, it won't then bend and twist. So then even if it wasn't not in that deep, the hammer will take it. Here's the little thing. So when you get your kit, you need to figure out exactly how they've kind of figured to do it. So I've got 2 major lengths, 2 longer ones, which go front to back merrily. 2 slight short ones, they'll be the front ones, and there'll be a joint basically either in the middle. What I might do is I might offset it further this way. So put a full length in. Sometimes I do that for aesthetics if I want to kind of keep it away from the door so as you're coming up to the building, it's not in your eye. I mean, you don't look for these things anyway, but again, I like to sort of sit back and stare at it and kind of go, what's going to look better anyway, if I decided to look at it. So that's that. What we now need to do is trim off the excess, because obviously there's quite a bit of it. And the simplest way by far to do this, in my humble opinion, is take said trim. Put said trim on the edge like so. So far, so simple, right? Now, hang on, give me a second. And then what I'll do is, I'll try not to drop my phone. At that point, push down, and I'll do a pencil mark all the way along. Pull it up, and now you can see there. Can you see that? I hope you can see that. That is my pencil mark, all right? It takes all the guesswork out of this, bloody massively. So then I'll just get my scissors and I'll make a cut about 20mm higher than that. So I know when this trim goes on, it's still going to pin the rubber. There's plenty of it to do it. But at the same time, you're not going to have any little funny bits, because some people put these on and run a knife up, but then sometimes you can sort of score the under edge of here and stuff and make it look a bit manky if you don't catch it right, or you end up with like a bit of the rubber just visible. And my OCD won't enjoy that, so that is the easiest way to do it. So obviously I need 2 hands, so I'll put that back on again, I'll run the full length, draw the pencil mark all the way around, then I'll run around with my scissors and trim. I'm a dab hand with a pair of scissors, and shaving bit. So yeah, so I'm going to do that. What I'll then do, once I have trimmed that back, is I'll get the first length on. Once I've measured it, I'll then cut it to the right length, appropriate. I'll put it right to the front edge, like so. Pilot these holes, where you saw I've set the drill up, and then I'll just put my poly top pin in, nail it halfway in, and again, like I did the fascia, once it's kind of just got this pinned up, I'll then scrape off the protective layer. But one of the most important key parts of this particular type of trim is you mustn't, and I repeat, mustn't send the nail all the way in and pin it hard, okay? So if you look at this, you can see it's sort of oblong. So my pilot mark will be straight through the center, and then I will leave the nail head 2 mil away from the front of it, okay? And I'll show you that finished in a minute. So basically what can happen is this whole thing about a move left and right, I mean, this is obviously exaggerated, but it can move around a little bit. So as it expands and contracts, it's got movement. If you pin it hard, it's gonna warp and it's gonna twist, and it'll look not very good. So that's what you do, that's how you fix. That's how you trim it, mark it, pilot it, get it nailed in, but don't pin it hard. And then you'll never ever have a problem with it. So that's it, less talking, more doing. When it comes to these corners right here, what we're gonna do is, we take this, I'll put it down like that. Obviously don't want that poking out like that, because that looks silly. We don't like that. So what we're gonna do is, we're just gonna fold it over like that, okay? And then this will come over, if I could do this with one hand, and basically pin that in like that, which is nice. And there's a corner cover that goes over this section here. But what I also want to explain to you is, when it comes to this section, the joint, you get one of these bad boys. There, just grab it. I'll show it to you, right? You can see, tiny little lip there, nice big one there, okay? Now, this one here can be a complete and utter bugger. You really need to, let me just flip this around, really want to make sure that when you put this on to the first one, so this one's already fit, so you want to get this on and slide it on over first, like so, so it's nice and tight. But you want to make sure that it's definitely gone on here, okay? Because I've done these quite a lot now, and occasionally that bottom bit has not been slid on right. I've just not noticed, not paying attention, just cracking on with your work. And then you put this one in, going this way, that one slides in to that joint, boom. And you get down the bottom, you go, ah, it's not lipped into there beautifully. And trying to get that on, once this is all fit, is an absolute nightmare. You've got a tiny little like flathead screwdriver, you're trying to twist it, bend it back just to kind of get it to pop over. So just make sure it's on. Just save yourself a lot of arseache. But apart from that, that's how it goes. So there you can see it's basically on throughout. This is the last piece now. Kind of see it across there. What I'm also going to do is, because they give me this like liquid stuff, I run a bead of it across the back edge of the whole lot, just to stop water from trying to get down the back, which it won't do anyway. Because what I also do when I'm putting that stuff on, where did my gong go? It's behind you. Good pantomime. Is I'll put a bead across that edge all the way like that. I'll try not to knock it over when I'm doing it. And then I'll do a second bead just back from the front, about there. So you've kind of created like a definitive, it's not getting past it kind of space. So I'm going to get that gunned in. I'm going to get slotted in and double check it. And then I'll pilot it and then nail it. But yeah, but as you can see on these ones where the nails are, look, can you see that? It's not completely homed. There's a gap, it can move, it can do what it needs to do as it expands and contracts. And that's why you do not pin these bad boys, because it doesn't look good when it's twisted. So that is that. Finish it off time. And there we have it. There it is, see, look, you can't see any of the rubber underneath. That makes me very happy. Corners are on now, just over there. So tomorrow I just need to pick up a joint for there, one for the other side. And then I've got some corner bits, but I need one more length, because it basically comes in a long length for the fascia, like this. So you get two parts out, you chop it through the center, and that'll give you 1, 2 corners, and I just need another one which will do the back end. But apart from that, that is basically it. That is how you fix and repair a EDPM rubber roof. Tomorrow there will be more videos, but it'll be mostly concentrated on the inside, kind of getting that all straight. So if you've enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I've got this channel going, there's always bits and pieces, tips and stuff to be learned. So yeah, if you like it, don't forget to like it. Okay guys, I'll see you later. Have a good one.